Okay, I'm just going to start recording. So first of all, happy almost New Year. Happy end of 2018. I did send a little message today with some of my thoughts on it, but I'll just say again, I'm grateful to have had a chance to work with all of you this year. I'm excited for where we're going with this, and excited for all the good work all of you are going to be doing. So it's a good time to kind of reflect, and I'm grateful. I'm quite happy to have been able to work with all of you. So let's keep it up in a new year. Let's do a quick round of intros, just the two of you for now. Let's see who else comes in. But let's do a quick intro, and let's do some catch-ups for both of you as well. So let me know what's going on, what's the latest status, all that good stuff. Mary, I saw you first, so I'm calling on you.
Hi, my name is Mari. I'm the founder of Coco House, a co-working space in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I think this is actually my first meeting attending, even though I've been following the emails for a while. It's the first meeting I can attend. It's a New Year's resolution to sort of try to attend more of these meetings. And yeah, getting ready for the new year, and want to do like a new content calendar and start working on the marketing, because this year we want to grow into our bigger space. So we're working on that.
Tell me more about the bigger space. What's the game plan there? So
the bank thinks that the numbers are good, but I'm doing it with the small business, the SBA. So for me to be able to qualify for the lower interest and the lower down payment, they want to wait for us to be 2 years. And that's in April. So it's coming real soon.
Right. And then in terms of the second location, you're staying within the same city or
basically the same building even. We're just going to go to, the first Coco was just a tiny 1,800 square feet. And we doubled in size this year, but it's a temporary annex that we just open until we can then do construction on a brand new, between 5,000 and 8,000 square feet. We're still deciding.
Got it. Super exciting.
Yeah.
So this is the year that you're gonna make it happen.
Yes, definitely.
All right. I like it, and we can get into some of the thinking around that. And as far as the content calendar, are you Kat and Kat Johnson and all the stuff she does? And okay. So
and I did the webinar with her. Yeah, we did the webinar in December. And yeah, I'm just developing it now the first week of January.
Awesome. Oh, that's very exciting. I'd love to, do you have something shareable? Like how do you create a content calendar? How do you manage that?
I'm working on that. But I can share it afterwards. Yeah. I'm using an app, at least for all the social media content, that's called Gain app. And it's GAIN. It's not free, but it's really good. And everyone, if you're doing it with other people and you want to share and kind of get feedback, other people can see it and they can comment before a post goes up. And with the Instagram, they have an app, and so everything is ready, and the app just gives you a notification for you to then post it on the time that you want to post. But other than that, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, it does it all automatically. So if you set up whatever you want to share throughout the week, it'll just do it on its own.
This is super cool. I like it. Okay, cool. Well, that's useful. And yeah, I'm actually working on my own content calendar for my own businesses presently as well. So maybe we can compare notes.
Sounds good.
Very good. Cool. And what is going on for you, James? What's happening in your world?
Yeah, so hopefully 2019 will be the start of a new space here in Jacksonville, Florida. Tony, we actually had our kickoff introduction meeting this past Friday, so we had a lot of good ideas that we shared and a lot of first steps for me to take. So that's kind of what I'm putting on myself, in my to-do list, and tracking towards getting a space hopefully open at some point in 2019.
I'm sorry. Here we go. And so, what's on your mind as far as next steps? I know we just spoke, but just to kind of share with the group here, like, what are you working on this week or in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah. So, to your recommendation was going to be getting the network started up, start reaching out to what do you call it, first circle folks, and then seeing who they can recommend to second circle folks and third circle folks, that sort of thing, and really get the ball rolling with getting my idea out there in the community, and then possibly even visiting and trying to reach out to the other independent co-working spaces here in town as well, and then as well as starting a new meetup for I guess my community, or at least the people that I'd like to attract, and see where all that goes, and see if there is a need for another space in town.
Gotcha. Okay. So maybe in this call we can talk a little bit more about the specifics about how you could go about it. Maybe what you're currently thinking, or just kind of a few ideas that you could play with.
Yeah, I would definitely enjoy a deeper conversation specifically on the first steps.
Great. Very good. And actually, interestingly enough, I think it does align with some of the things we might talk about as far as content, marketing, and some of the other kind of New Year's stuff that I want to get into. So actually, before we do that, maybe Mari, if you can tell us, Mari, I've got it. Mari, if you could tell us like what strategy you're thinking about as far as your content marketing, what are you going to use the content to direct people towards, or do you know?
Well, what I would like to do is sort of give each month a theme, all about what our community kind of wants, and what what we've all thought of the important things. So productivity. We are also very into trying to make the space more eco-friendly. So, just in general, environmental issues, that could be a month. Women in business on Women's Month, and things like that. Just creating a theme for each month, and then trying to break it down to the weeks of each month, and sharing articles. Sharing our own members blog. We're going to start that this year. Our members I'm going to try and have one of them write a blog for each month, but also pertaining to the same theme that we're trying to design for each month.
Gotcha. And then in terms of the membership, like your membership is doing okay right now?
Yes, we're growing. We now have the second space that is just kind of like 20 feet away from our current space in the same building. And yeah, I'm going to start, we've never marketed, like I've never done any paid marketing, and we're going to start that a little bit just to fill up the dedicated desks. And our offices are all full, but we still have some dedicated desks and a hot desk available. And now that the new year's kicking off, I think I'm going to do a couple ads, funny ads on, co-working, still educational, because people still don't, a lot of people don't know what co-working is, but trying to get them in the door and see how that goes.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Because one of the things, I guess you are looking for hot desk members. So you're not like full where we're talking purely about retention, although retention is useful too. But one of the things that I like to play with, especially this time of year, which I've talked about a million times before, is just having some kind of a thing to invite people to for the turn of the year, because at least around here, the turn of the year tends to be a time when people sign up for new spaces. Don't know how that works in Puerto Rico because it's warm and wonderful all the time, but I imagine there's still kind of a post-New Year's, let's get back to work kind of a vibe. So what I have been playing with has basically in the past, it's been largely about Codivation and these ongoing groups, but I think we can also attract people with one-off events that just make it easy to say, hey, this is happening on this day, come check it out, see how it goes. And you mentioned productivity as being one of the themes. Is that your January theme?
Yes.
Cool. I like it. So here's the thing that I'm thinking about. We haven't even gotten to this cohorts thing that I sent in the email, but we're going to skip past that and talk about this other thing I want to talk about first, which is doing a coordinated event. So I've talked about work sprints before. Are both of you guys familiar with work sprints?
No.
No? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Mari, I'll just catch you up. But the idea is essentially to have a facilitated focus session during which people commit to working on a particular thing that is a high priority for them for a set period of time, where it's all coordinated. So you start a timer and everybody works during the same period. And the idea is that it adds just a layer of intention and accountability to the way that people work. And I think it's actually really, really valuable and really important for co-working spaces. And I think it's a big part of the future of where these things are going. Because if we just have a room full of people that are kind of maybe sort of working however they want, there's not as much of a shared sense of shared purpose and value and intention. But kind of like a gym, right? You go to the gym, everyone can just kind of work out on the machines. But if you go to a spin class, everyone's kind of like spinning on the same time schedule and routine, and people charge more for spin classes, right? And there's a greater sense of camaraderie and shared energy in the room because you're on spin from 10 to 11 or whatever it is. And I think that the same thing has to happen in co-working. So a work sprint is just a format like that. It's spin class, but for your productivity. And so it's very effective. It's very fun. It's very valuable. Some people are actually building whole businesses just around this. There's a thing called Cave Day here in New York, which does this, where you spend $30 and you go to a place where you hang out and it's a whole day where you work like this. And it's super cool and it's selling well from what I can tell. So what I want to do is I want to do some similar stuff with us in the group here as a way of helping to better attract new members to our respective communities. So if we did this, I guess what I'm a little in between on is how hard we push the idea of all doing it on the same day versus letting everybody do it whenever they want. But to say, for example, if we went all the way with this, like Tuesday, January 22nd, 10 a.m., at participating spaces, we're all going to do a work sprint. And you can go to that space, you can, join up. Maybe it's just like a day pass, or maybe it's a free trial or whatever it is, but you can go to that space on that day, participate in this work sprint thing. And then if you're interested and, you like the idea, then you can stick around and become a member of that space and, then be invited to subsequent work sprint events. And then that's something that we could all kind of go in on together and say, hey, there's work sprints happening in 20 cities all over the world or whatever, and then help to kind of generally raise awareness of our group as a whole, and actually use our group as a vehicle for, perhaps improving visibility and marketing. So that's like the idea that I'm playing with. Literally, I got like a clipboard full of ideas and Post-its all around and stuff. But how am I sounding so far?
I like it.
I know you just got introduced to work sprints, and then I took it like 5 steps further. So what kinds of questions do you have now that I'm explaining this to you for the first time?
No, I think it's awesome. We were thinking, I've heard of other people doing a writing session, and I was thinking of maybe doing that, but I think this one keeps it a little bit more general and people can just focus on whatever they're working on, and it could be good for our communal spaces tend to be more social. It'd be nice to kind of reserve it for something that's more productive.
Yeah, the beauty of this format is that you end up being able to have safe space for both social and focus, which is a huge problem in a lot of co-working spaces. There's places people want to be social, but nobody's talking and they feel weird being social. There are places that are too social and people feel like they can't get any work done, you know, and so it ends up becoming a problem. But what I found is that people actually um, people actually can create a shared sense of this is when it's okay to chat and this is when it's okay to work. And so when we do these work sessions, what ends up happening is, okay, the clock is on from, 10:10 to 10:50 or whatever it is, right? And then once the clock is off, once it's done, now you actually can have a sense of safety in being able to talk to people because, well, we just had our focus time. Now we have our don't focus time, right? And this is when, and this is part of what I think I want to be able to really sell is the dream of guilt-free Facebook time, right? To be able to say, look, when it's a distraction that is kind of creeping into our focus time, then social media is this shameful thing that we do that we wish that we didn't do as much. But if we get our focus time done, then we can actually goof off a little bit and feel like it's safe and that it's okay. So I think actually this is one of the secrets to being able to strike that perfect balance for co-working, for being a place to get work done and also to be social, simply by creating those structures where, hey, this is work time, this is social time, and you can design accordingly. How's that sound?
No, I like it.
Cool. So the way that it would work is I'm working on putting together a little landing page. And what I would do is I would just have a form that anyone in this group can fill out to, register. But essentially what you would do is you'd create an event for your space, for your community on whatever platform you want. And then you could post a link to that event in our landing page. So we could basically become like a directory of these upcoming events.
Okay. That's
and then,
really cool.
If this becomes like a super regular thing, then we could figure out how to do that too. But at least for like a one-off, we could try this out. Oh, okay. So the other fun thing is that we get to potentially socialize what we achieve. So because there's this construct of we're all going to work on the same day at the same time in this focused manner, we can then talk about, well, what got done during that time. And I call this a to-done list. And it's actually really, it's a really fun thing because what you end up doing is you end up seeing what other people worked on. And then that creates the opportunity for more socialization. So people get to see, oh, you're working on that, or even there's kind of like a little bit of a social component where somebody can ask for help. And I think that the asking for help becomes like a big boost as well. So let me show you an example. I did this years ago during an experiment of a work sprint session, and I did not prepare this in advance. So I'm just going to wing it and hope that this works out well. This was originally on HackPad, which got bought by Dropbox. So this is now a Dropbox page. But the idea was that it was a collaborative page. I could just send a link to anybody who was at the event, or they could go to a link that was posted. And it would just be editable by anyone. So you can see on the left side here is Tony B, Nathaniel P, Clarice M, right? And what we would do is, on the day of the event, people would log in, and when they got something done, they would add it to the list. And this was when the event was a little bit more open-ended, in the sense that it was just whatever people wanted to get done, got done. And so sometimes it was just responded to a bunch of emails, or call with Peter and Sarah. Whatever you did, you tackled emails like a champ. It was just kind of a way to shamelessly play the Pina Colada song. That's great. So sometimes it's just a small thing, but it's a way of creating a sense of satisfaction and success, feeling like you got something done and feeling good about it and socializing that, which happens, it's such a problem, I think, in the co-working world, where even if we're in a co-working space, if we're working and getting stuff done, but we don't talk to anybody about it, then it's really hard to feel kind of a sense of a feedback loop, a sense of personal satisfaction. And so just being able to type this down somewhere where other people get to see it really feels good, and it creates a sense of camaraderie. You can see here, there's a bunch of different people that are all kind of checking in on this. This was, I guess, a version that we were doing where every day we had kind of an ongoing to done list. So that was kind of how that worked. If you just excuse me a second, hang on just a second, guys. I am gonna need to step out for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry for the delay there. So yeah, so this is super fun, and you can even put this on a physical board in the space. What do y'all think of this? What are you noticing as I'm showing this to you?
Is this something that would happen a random day of the week, or is it always going to be on a set day every day, or is it once a week? How do you think this, or at least when we're starting?
Yeah, good question. So I think the way that this would work would be um, started as a one-off, and I think maybe the ideal format is a once a week thing. Um, it could be several times a week. You can do this in any form you want, honestly, right? This could be a short, like this could be 2 hours. It could be a whole day. Probably 2 hours is the shortest version possible. Um, it could be weekends. It could be after hours. It could be during business hours. But I would say that the sweet spot for me is to do it as maybe once a week. And I would say we can experiment with this. I haven't done one exactly like this in a while, but at least a half a day, where maybe it's like 9 to 12 or so, or 10 to 1 might be a sweet spot. And then you could also do like a 2 to 5 p.m. or something like that. Um, and then within the structure, there's some wiggle room as well. So the Pomodoro technique, which some of this is loosely based on, is a 25-minute timer where you work on a discrete task for 25 minutes. You take a 5-minute break, and so that's kind of half-hour blocks of time. But what I've found from my own experience, and even from seeing other people do this, is that people tend to want to work longer than 25-minute chunks. So I would say, like the model I'm playing with for this would be for a 40 or 50-minute focus time. And, maybe if we had like 50 minutes focus and like maybe 10 minutes of break, then that makes for a nice kind of hour block. What else? Yeah, so I would say probably like let's say if we did 10 to 1, 3 hours, and it's a 10-50 rhythm. So the first 10 minutes is like warm up and intros, 50 minutes work, 10-minute break, 50 minutes work, 10-minute break, 50 minutes work. And then you want to maybe tack on some time at the end for some review, for some how did it go, share your successes, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, super cool. So yeah, what I'm thinking is I'm going to work on this landing page and get back to everybody with a little bit more on that later today, as soon as I can, really. And then y'all can sign up for it. And then if for some reason the coordinated day doesn't work, then we can do you can do it like on another day, and it's just, in your city, it's a different day. But yeah, I'm excited for that. And I think honestly, this is the direction we have to go with co-working in general, is doing more facilitated stuff. This kind of thing is very easy to facilitate. So I think it's, it makes it attractive, and it's really easy to invite someone who's not a member to come for free for one of these, or maybe at a, significant discount, just to come hang out, get a taste of it, get excited at the idea of being in this community with these people, and then say, well, you can keep coming if you join as a member. So that's what we got on that front. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about, which I mentioned in the email earlier, is this idea of cohorts. It's something that we've been talking about on and off for a long time in the group. But essentially, I want to be able to create a way for the people who are in this group to be able to, first of all, know who else is in the group who's in a similar position to them, and then to be able to share what's going on for them specifically, set some goals for their specific situations, and have some accountability feedback loop. One of the things that we have right now with this group is kind of an open-endedness. Anybody shows up to the call, they ask whatever, we answer it. It seems to work well enough. But if you don't join for the calls and you kind of fall out of that rhythm, then it's very easy to lose the opportunity to really get value out of being here. So what I want to do is figure out how to approach this in a way that is schedule friendly. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this, guys, because what I want to do is figure out, like, if we want to be able to provide value and want to be able to give people quality time, but also not take up too much time in people's schedules. So like a live 1 hour video call on a set time every week is probably the biggest thing that I can ask of anybody. And so that's like, it's a big ask. And when we get busy, it's very easy to fall off of it. And so what I want to do is find kind of the right balance. And I think what I'm thinking right now for this idea of doing a cohort is that for each kind of themed group, like I'm trying to figure out how to launch a space, I'm trying to figure out how to raise funds, I'm trying to figure out how to get more members, I'm trying to figure out how to make long-term plans. Those are kind of the 4 groups that we have, like one kickoff meeting where you do have to actually show up and have a discussion and set your goal and whatever it is. But then have kind of mini check-ins over the course of, several weeks or months, where we simply can just say, well, how to go this week? What's the latest? How can we improve? And then, maybe there's a set time for that, but it could just be in a chat room, and you can check in later if you don't make the live check-in. But then there's not like a real in-person meeting until maybe, once a month, or even not until the end of the quarter or something like that. How's all that sounding? What do you guys think?
I think that would work. I mean, it would be a checking meeting of like 30 minutes or.
Yeah. So like the kickoff meeting would be maybe like an hour where everybody talks about their project, what's going on, brainstorm any kind of solutions that need to be figured out. But ultimately we arrive at, let's set a goal for what your specific intention is going to be for the quarter, for example. And then we can check in on the progress towards those goals on maybe a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, just over like a very brief stand-up. When I worked with with an app development firm earlier this year, we did we were actually like really pushing to make a new app in a very, very tight period of time. And so we had daily stand-ups, which were essentially, what did you do? What are your blockers, and what are you doing next? And so it was just, very, very simple, like 1, 2, 3, you could, just answer it in a few sentences, but it gave everybody a way of keeping in the loop of what was going on. So for example, for James, if James told me, okay, I am going to have this goal to build a robust community of members who are participating in a group that will help me to lead up to the opening of my space through programming that I'm going to do. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a date and a location and a format, and I'm going to organize an event. And so then a week from now, we could check in and essentially James could say, okay, so last week I said I was going to organize an event, but some crazy stuff happened and I didn't get around to it. But there's nothing stopping me from doing it this week. So I'm going to plan on revisiting. And, awesome, cool. Good luck, James. Let us know if you need help. And then the next week, James could say, yeah, I organized the event and it's cool, but now I need to get more people in the door. So the next thing I have to do is figure out how to promote it. And then the next week you check in. But the point is, it's just like a couple of minutes, but it's a very easy way to check in.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. And everyone's kind of focusing on the same stage, which, gets everyone kind of on board with sharing ideas and helping each other out, which I like.
Yeah, we've towed this line, I think, pretty well, all things considered. Because we have people in this group who are just getting started and who are maybe a long ways away from even opening a space, and then we have other people in this group who've been running a space for 8 years or something, and are just in very different mindsets. Although what's interesting is, and we've seen this, right, is that there's so much common ground. Even if you've been running a space for 8-10 years, you've still got to revitalize your community continuously. You've still got to be coming up with new exciting things to do to get you excited and to get your members excited and enticed to come and be a part of what's going on. So, we have found a lot of common ground, but I think it would be nice if we are able to create some context around, fundraising, for example. If we need to have a conversation specifically around, let's get more sponsors, we can really dig into the specifics of, what do we need to do to figure out how to approach this, and what are the techniques we're going to use, and who we're going to reach out to, and just, create a little bit more continuity. So, so I'm going to keep cranking away on that idea and see how people respond. This, by the way, since this is both your first time, I guess you may have watched the videos, but this is an unusual call for me to just be throwing new ideas at you. But I'm excited. I got the new year coming, and I'm hungry to launch some new stuff that I've been meaning to do for a long time. So, this is a lot of Tony talking today. Okay, so why don't we get back to you guys and what you've been working on, and maybe we can just walk through it a little bit more. So, Mari, for you, in terms of the content calendar and the funding, is there anything in particular there that you might want to dive into more with us and talk about a little bit more?
No, I really set that to be my Q1, the two things that I'm doing on Q1, kind of creating a better marketing calendar so that everything is more organized and doesn't seem random. Because right now I just post something whenever I feel like it. So I want to start creating a bit more structure on that. And with the business plan, that's what I want to start now in January. We've been the last few months, we've been switching the software from Nexodus to Cobot. It should be opening. We should be on Cobot live in the next week or so. And now with Cobot, I really want to kind of optimize a lot of the onboarding process. And so we've been designing those kind of tools to make it easier so we can concentrate more on community and less on emails back and forth with the contracts and et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha. Okay. And in terms of the fundraising and the sources, I know you're talking about an SB loan. What other financing sources are you looking at?
One of our members is really interested in maybe investing, so that's something that we need to sit on a table and discuss. And no, I've thought of talking to sponsors like our internet provider, which is awesome, and I want to recommend it more, and not a lot of people know of it, because our internet is always fast, always stable. So maybe talking to them about sponsoring maybe a phone booth or a conference room, and even also talking to the bank itself, because they have a lot of programs. It's the biggest bank in Puerto Rico, and they have a lot of programs where they help entrepreneurs. So maybe that could be another side to, on one hand, I have a commercial loan, but on the other hand, maybe they can sponsor, I don't know, even like a better rate for our members to open up a business account or something, and get something out of that as well.
Gotcha. I love that. Yeah, no, I like it. And in terms of the overall budget that you're trying to raise, what do you have a number that you're going for?
It's a lot. It's 1.2 million, because we're buying the property and doing a full renovation. And the problem is that in the building that we're at, the AC is always shut off at 6, because it's for the entire building, and it's a big commercial building, and it's going to be years before they even, I think, add another hour to that, even though other businesses are starting to work later hours. But so we're going to need to add an alternative AC unit for the evenings and the weekends. And that's really one of the things we're not trying to make the space high end at all. Like, we want to keep it as simple and kind of the same vibe we've had at Cocoa House, which is like kind of minimalist but tropical. And but yeah, doing that and making it from scratch, then it does have its more, there's more expenses. But with the rate that we're growing, and with the need that I just get calls every week from people that are interested in private offices, and we've run out of private offices in the annex within a month and a half of opening, and it was 5 more offices.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, buying the building is definitely going to obviously up your numbers, and that makes sense for the SBA loan for that, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, the sponsorships and the other kind of sources, I think it's good to have like a diverse set of potential income streams, just because you don't want to totally be dependent just on one, and obviously there's a lot of different ways to raise interest. So that makes sense. And I'm glad that there's interest from the membership, because I think, the more that you can have members be involved in the financing, the better of a story it is, and you can certainly get a good deal from the members that you're working with. So that's good. Do you have any interest in like talking more about like the different ways that you might structure the sponsorship formats for the bank and for the, other kind of similar potential sponsors?
I think in about a month I'll be ready to get into that, because right now I just want to start getting all this daily stuff automated. My manager, I've had also a bit of management change. I had a manager when I saw you last in the fall, and she had to quit. She didn't want to, but was forced to quit in November.
Okay.
So we're now with new staff, and I'm just trying to get organized in the new year. But by like the beginning of February, I'm going to be full on the expansion package.
Fundraising. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. You got to get the operations in order, right? And that's always a concern. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the update. I think this is super useful. I'm excited to see how we can support you in the course of getting that fundraising going. So, yeah, it's good stuff. And James, for you, I know you mentioned that you would be interested to talk a little bit more about the programming side and just strategy for attracting new members. So I guess before we get to kick that off, what do you think about what we were talking about earlier about the work sprints and all that good stuff?
I think it's great. Like you were saying before, having the once a week meetings is good, just to get a perspective of, you know, whoever wants to share or anything specific that people want to hear. But having the cohorts and maybe the work sprints together, you know, would definitely help the more focused set of folks. And I don't know, you could have, you know, some spin-offs where it just becomes more, not convenient, but more productive for those folks. And again, the 1 hour group call could be, you know, successes and things that have happened because of it. You know what I mean? So I think they're both great ideas to help each other and as well as, you know, keep momentum for everybody. Because I mean, that's the intent of the work sprint, is to be accountable to the group as well as yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's where there's an opportunity to create a better sense of membership in a community, where, you know, you could show up to an event and do some stuff and then go home, but what about next week? What about the week after that? You know, and I think if you can create a sense of shared camaraderie and a sense of continuity where people show up and they know who's there and they know what they were up to last week, you know, that becomes a much more valuable thing if you don't have to start from scratch every time. And so I think that's the kind of thing that a membership in your space becomes really valuable, because it's not just about just showing up and doing the thing, but it's about, you know, really over the long term actually having a lasting impact that is facilitated by being a part of that group. So yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah.
I was going to say that it kind of plays on the mastermind groups. I don't know if you've heard of mastermind groups, but, you know, it's a group of people, same thing, just trying to keep each other accountable and provide perspective, you know, support to the work sprint. Kind of ties into that same idea.
Yeah. Well, we're actually kind of backing our way into Codivation groups, which I've talked about a bunch in the past too, which is essentially a mastermind group. Yeah. So if you can create a mastermind group or a Codivation group with continuous continuity that people can join, and they can be in it for a period and then it ends, and then they can leave or they can reassess and then rejoin. I think that's an awesome dynamic. It's a really powerful dynamic. Cool. What else, James? I know we just spoke last week, but is there anything else that's on your mind that maybe you want to bring up while we have this group setting here?
No, I feel slightly out of place on the call. I was expecting a larger group like I've seen on the other videos, but, you know, really being, you know, maybe a couple weeks in, making this kind of commitment, kind of what I said on the phone to you, felt like I might have been too early to talk to you, but you gave me that extra inspiration that it was probably the right time. So I appreciate that. And, you know, it was just, I like these videos because you get a lot of ideas and a lot of confirmation and also some lessons learned and some other, you know, warning signs to look out for. So I don't know.
Cool.
Having a good time so far, and definitely like, you know, hearing everybody's different perspective and kind of what everybody's going through. And, you know, first to Mari, congratulations on your space and moving so quickly. It sounds, from what I understood, you were open less than 2 years and you're already looking at expanding and into a bigger project than what you currently have. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we actually closed for the first time for the holidays, because our members are free to go to the space, but we were closed to the public since the 23rd, or I guess since last weekend. And it's been a really nice break that I sort of feel refreshed and ready to start the new year, which is, I wasn't even planning on taking the call. And then I saw the email earlier and I was like, I need to start taking these calls now because I've just been watching the videos later and it's not the same. So I was like, good timing to start on a Monday of the new year, kind of on the right foot, I guess.
I guess, could I ask, in Puerto Rico, are there other co-working spaces? You said that there was a lot of interest from the community there, from the private offices.
Are just a handful. We're not the first, and I think at the same time that we opened, there were maybe 4 or 5 in San Juan that opened the same couple of months, almost 2 years ago. But it was something that it was a hard sell, and after the hurricane, because of the physical amenities that you get from a co-working space and the risk, they kind of became the idea and the concept became a lot more easy to sell. But what people are then finding out is that it's not really the space but the community, and so now it's starting to get the conversation starts to get easier about co-working, because it was before trying to sell the community, kind of people didn't get it. Now I kind of started the conversation selling the amenities and the risk of like not having your own office and et cetera. And then we get to talk about the community and all that, and then it's sort of an easier sell, and people are now really more looking for spaces like us. So I think there's room for a lot more spaces to grow. We have one that's opening across the street in a couple of months, and I'm honestly not worried, because I think there's enough market for at least here for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not knowing the exact details of that market, there's almost always room to grow. There's a lot more people who need these kinds of places than there are places right now. And they just have to do it. The spaces just have to do a good job of showing people why they should come in. And that's what you're up to, Mari.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Cool. All right. Well, if y'all want, let's just take off a few minutes early. Let's call it a day and get ourselves ready for our new year.
Okay, sounds good. Happy New Year.
All right. Thanks, Mari. Thanks for joining. And we're definitely going to have a lot more people joining next week. That I am confident. So do join if you can. Make it on your calendar. And
yes.
I would love to have you guys along.
Will do.
All righty. Happy New Year's, guys.
All right. Thanks, James. Take care. Happy New Year.